Hey, what's up guys? Grant right here. I am back here today for a brand new video. Today we are going to be talking about all about the truth of the entertainment industry and my experience in the entertainment industry thus far. I am going to be going into detail about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. For everyone out there who may be getting into the entertainment industry, whether it be music, whether it be dancing, whether it be acting, it is all tied in together. I have seen every single part of the industry you can see. I'm going to be breaking it down for you guys today, and I'm going to be giving you the 411 on everything you may need to know or you may be curious to know. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, as always, I want to preface this by saying this is my experience. Everybody has a different experience when it comes to things that I may talk about on this channel, so I am by no means trying to say this is a one-size-fits-all sort of thing, but I'm just giving you guys the insight I have based on what I have been through and what I have experienced for myself. So let's go. Now, I have done so many different things in the entertainment industry. For those of you who don't know, I am a singer-songwriter. That is my main craft. I have been singing since I was a kid. I have been songwriting since I was a kid. I recorded my first demo in the studio at age 12. I auditioned for American Idol when I was 18 years old, about 15 years ago. I started my independent music career around the same time. I have released 5 studio albums, over 20 music videos. I have been on radio. I have been in magazines, you name it. I was also a go-go dancer in my early 20s to help pay for the music. I experienced a lot with that. I was a model very early on when I was 20 for a very brief period of time that didn't work out, but I did experience some stuff with that as well. And I have been the lead singer of several different corporate and wedding bands. I'm currently the lead singer of a wedding band here in Naples. I have been a solo music act as well at countless different venues, hundreds of venues throughout Miami, Atlanta, New York. As well as I've, played with a bunch of different house bands at different venues also. I was a contestant on the TV show Ultimate Miami Voice in 2015, as well as Santos Stars at the same time, around the same time, a little bit after my American Idol audition when I was 18. So I have done so many different things in the entertainment industry, and I have so many experiences and stories to tell you guys, but one of the main things that I have learned is that everything is not as it seems, and in most cases there is a dark side to everything that appears on the surface. One thing that I can tell you from my experience is that you really, really, really have to love your craft, because once you begin doing it for money, it really, really tests the capacity of love you do have for what you do, because it's never going to be this. Once you start doing things for money, you see what's beneath the surface, and it just, the initial high you got off of it really starts to fade away once you see the greed and the shadiness that's involved in the entertainment business. And like I said, it really tests whether you really want to do it or not. For me, I can say I still love music. I'm always going to be a music person, but the initial love that the need that I had to sing, I still love singing to this day, but it's never going to be the same as it was before I started doing it for a living. I just, the only way I can put it is once you really, really have to start perfecting your craft, and you have eyes on you from people that are paying you, to perform, to sing, it becomes less of an act of love and it becomes more of a technical, motion, so to speak. You really have to be, on your A game, and you really have to be conscious of, the technical side of the singing and the performing and how you're interacting with your audience. It's a lot of pressure. And like I said, if you really, really do not want to do it for the long haul, doing it, being hired to do it's going to test the limits of that. It's really going to reveal a lot about your dedication to it. So make sure you really want to do it, or you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Something else that is a truth of the music industry is that very rarely you will have fellow entertainers that will be lifelong friends. It is very difficult to find friends in the entertainment business with your peers. It's a very cutthroat industry, whether it be music, whether it be acting, whether it be modeling, adult dancing, the adult industry. It's just a very cutthroat industry, the entertainment industry, and everybody's essentially out for themselves most of the time. You do have a couple good people here and there, but at the end of the day, when there is money involved and the stakes are high, most of the people are out for themselves. So they will lie, cheat, steal, and cut, you off in any way they can to get an advantage over you, whether it be to get a gig that you have, to get in the loop of contacts that you have, to get in the loop of network that you may have. It's just such a cutthroat industry, and people will do anything to get to the top. Myself, I've experienced this so many times. I can tell you, I do not speak with, I'm not in, friends, or I don't speak with anyone that I was communicating with or was around in my 20s. 90% of the people that I surrounded myself with and people that I tried to call my friends ended up lying, stealing, and cheating behind my back. There were several entertainers that I was, thought I was good friends with in my early 20s, and I found out that they were spreading lies about me online, making nasty stories about me up online, spreading rumors about me in the community. It was just a very, very big eye-opener for me, but it encouraged me to sort of build a wall up and really understand that people are not what you may see at the surface. You really, really have to be able to, go into a room with people knowing that, there can be snakes, and knowing that you may not see everything that's actually going on just by seeing, the way people may, seem on the surface. And you just really have to have, eyes in the front and eyes in the back as to, what your surroundings are. There are people that I'm actually still acquaintances with from, a while back that did, actually lie and, essentially, just made stories up about me in order to steal gigs from me early on when I first started, being paid to sing and being paid to perform. There was a neighborhood that I was performing in. I'm not going to go into detail about any of this, but this one person actually saw me performing, and the next week I was actually let go from the establishment, and this person took my place because of, like I said, just shadiness, and it's so common in the business. I have other people that I know who had gigs taken from them by people that they thought they were good with, and it is every man for himself. So like I said, you really have to have a tough skin to be able to sort of come up from all that and to stand your ground. Being an independent music artist is not for the faint of heart, and you really, 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 really got to be tough in order to get anywhere. I recorded, like I said, my first demo in the studio when I was 12 years old, and I just had this mentality that, someone was going to pick me up right away. It's going to be famous, you name it. That is not how it goes. You really have to pay, you have to walk the pavement, and you really have to, hustle in order to get anywhere. I recorded my first single when I was 20 years old. And I recorded my follow-up single the next year. It was an extremely big deal for me at the time. It was a lot of money for me at the time. My first single in the studio. I think this was 15 years ago. Almost, it was $1,000, which is nothing today, but it was a lot of money for me back then. And the second single was even more. I worked with a bunch of musicians, and it was a whole process. Like I said, it taught me a lot. And like I said, from then on till present day, I released 5 studio albums, all self-funded. I paid for everything myself. I didn't get an advance from anyone. I've never been part of a record label. Like I said, I paid for everything, just hundreds of thousands of dollars have gone into the projects. I have had, over 30 music videos shot, once again, paid for by myself. And I've, had promo, I've been on the radio, all that, everything was paid for by me. I never had any handouts. Nobody paid for anything but me. I worked very hard. I have worked a multitude of day jobs in my life. I've, used my earnings from my, my live gigs to help pay for a lot of that. It's just been a lot, but it's exactly what it says it is. It's a business. A lot of times you will have to spend a bunch of money in order to get any recognition, and that's just the way it goes. So if you're not prepared to do that, get out, because that's just the name of the game. One of the main reasons why I was interested in becoming part of the live, performance circuit, so to speak, like I said, was essentially to help pay for these albums and this music production that I was, so passionate about. But it's never been a case of breaking even as far as the album sales are concerned, unless you are a big national act with the backing of a record label. You're typically not going to get to that level. There are exceptions to the rule, but in most cases, it is mostly just to promote your brand and to promote yourself. You do earn, money from that, but it's not going to be what you expect. And if you go the correct route about doing it and pay the professionals to, do your stuff, you're not going to make the money back that you put into the project. So you have to be ready for that. One thing I did see very, very early on in the entertainment business, by way of me being both a musical performer and a go-go dancer in my early 20s, word spreads very, very quickly. If someone doesn't like you, they are going to try to convince other people not to like you. I actually started my journey into live performing by doing karaoke in my early 20s before anyone actually hired me, for any sort of live event, live venue. I was so passionate about perfecting my craft. I went to venues, and I lived in South Beach in Miami, for those of you who may not know, and I went to venues on a nightly basis doing karaoke, and I had a tape recorder with me to record my performances to see what the mistakes were and what I could improve. There were a whole bunch of older people at these venues a lot of times, and people, I was very green, I was very new to the area, and a lot of people had certain preconceptions of me, and once they got to know me, they saw I was the complete opposite of what they thought, which turned a lot of people off. A lot of people early on. I've always been a very, very headstrong person, and I've always had a very, very high confidence in myself. That turned a lot of people off earlier on, being that I was so young and I just walked into these rooms like I owned it. A lot of people just didn't like it, and a lot of people took it as arrogance. I remember, and it just, word sort of gets around when someone doesn't like you or when other people don't like you. They don't want to feel alone, and they don't want someone else liking you when they don't. So a lot of times they spread lies about you, and it just ends up, not working in your favor. That was certainly the case for me. I really had to work hard to break out of that. And still to this day, I do have a reputation with a lot of people in Miami that didn't like me, a decade ago. I never let it stop me, though. I've always worked hard to sort of get my name out there, and I have found my tribe of people who do like me, for my personality and for the person that I am, being a very, strong, independent, headstrong person. You just really have to know, your value, and you have to be able to stand your ground amidst all of that other stuff. There was one particular time in Miami Beach, this club that I actually did karaoke at. I was good friends with the bartenders and a couple of other people, but there were certain people there that just did not like me. And like I said, when I even during karaoke, when I got on the stage, I always received the biggest standing ovation of anybody that went to these places. And I'm not saying that to be full of myself. I'm just saying I was always, you know, the best, if not one of the best, in these, in every venue that I visited. And I did get a very, a lot of people saw early on how talented I was, and that just really infuriated a lot of these other people, sort of my contemporaries that used to go to these places as well. There was one night I walked into because I usually had a coffee or something when I walked into these venues. The guy at the door got so mad about that and was like, "Oh, you can't come into here with that." And I, turned around, and the bartenders told him, "No, it's okay. He's the singer that always comes here. It's okay. He can come into it." So I walked ahead. This guy got furious. He just grabbed me and said, "You know what? You can leave." Da, 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 da. He said that I was rolling my eyes at him when I just walked ahead. I had sunglasses on, so that didn't even make sense. But him and then one of the other security guys at the door said, "Oh, you can leave. We can do this the easy way or the hard way," threatening me. And I was a 22-year-old kid back then, you know what I mean? So this didn't make any sense. But I told him, "I'm not here to start trouble. I will go." I just left. But that was definitely a defining moment for me. It just let me know how, jealous people can turn other people against you. And from that day on, I really learned, like I said, how to have 2 eyes in the front, 2 eyes in the back, just really be able to scope any area I was in and not have preconceived notions of where, I was or who people were around me. One of the most important things I can share to you guys based on my experience is you have to be ready as a live entertainer, specifically a live music entertainer. You have to be ready to have really good months and really bad months. In my case, there have been really good years, and then I've had stretches of really bad years where I couldn't get a gig to save my life. Like I told you guys, I was the lead singer of several bands. I've performed with a bunch of house bands, etc., at casinos, at weddings, at stadiums, venues, you name it. I've done it, and I have had years where I've been booked consistently, and then I've had years I couldn't get any gigs, and I had to work multiple day jobs to make ends meet. That is just the nature of the business, and you have to be ready for that. A lot of the people that I called my peers, they were struggling because they had their pride set to such a level they didn't want to go out and get day jobs. They just couldn't take that against their ego, and so they preferred to struggle. But like I said, I'm a go-getter. I've never been that kind of person. I like to live comfortably. I always have, and I've always been willing to do whatever's necessary to make that happen. Whether it come from my music, whether it come from working in retail, whether it come from working in warehouses, I have done it all, and I'm very proud of that, because a lot of times, like I've told you guys before, with all the lies that were spread about me and all the reputation that I got, I was still able to make a living despite all of that, because like I said, I go out there, I make it happen. And being in the entertainment industry, you have to be ready for that, because that just comes with the turf. You're going to do good, and then you're going to do bad. It's a constant up and down, and you have to know how to recover. You have to know how to get up from your failures, and you have to just know how to go out there and make it happen. One of the most important things that I can share with you guys regarding the entertainment industry is you really, really, really have to know your worth, and you have to set your prices accordingly. Very early on, I was so desperate, and so many other people are. I was so desperate to get hired and to begin performing professionally for money. I would be willing to work for basic almost nothing, and I did this for years, and it wreaked havoc on my reputation early on, because a lot of people didn't think I was good enough for certain events because of how low my pricing was, so they didn't hire me. And like I said, once it's sort of a catch-22, because once you do start raising your prices and you do start upping the game, so to speak, other people are going to think you're, people that knew you when your prices were low are going to think you are full of yourself and you think you're too good for people now, and they just take it as being arrogant, when you're really, like I said, you are setting your prices according to, what your value is and knowing your value. So you got to be ready for, like I said, some people to fall off the wagon, and that's just natural, process of elimination when you're trying to get to your goal, as far as that's concerned. But I am so happy that I realized it, before it was too late, because my, professionally, I started elevating ever since, I started taking control of the, pricing of my services. And it, like I said, one thing led to another, and I'm very proud of where I am today and how much I've accomplished because of all that. I look back on things and I don't regret it, but I wish, like I said, I had known sooner about, how that all works, because it, would have saved me a lot of headache thus far. But you've got to know your value and what you bring to the table, and you've got to be willing to piss some people off by setting your prices accordingly. And the last thing I want to share with you guys today, a truth of the entertainment business as I have seen it thus far, is you have got to be ready for change. You have got to be adept to change, and you have to be willing to welcome it with open arms, because change is just part of the business. Whether it be having to move for business, whether it be having to learn new facets of the business, whether it be having to find a new network of people based on what you're trying to accomplish. You just have to be always willing to adapt to something new, a new environment, and a new way of thinking. You have to be willing to leave behind, who you were in your head prior to where you're trying to go. Because if you get stuck in your ways, that is going to really, really limit your ability to overcome plateaus on the road to where you want to go professionally in the business. So you just have to be, like I said, you have to be flexible with that, and you have to be willing to be uncomfortable to get to your goal, because being comfortable really, never did anything for anyone. You never learn anything when you're comfortable. All the lessons you typically learn are when you're in pain, when you're really struggling to get to where you need to go. And the dark times can really be a blessing in disguise as far as teaching you everything you need to know. So you have to be ready for that. And you have got to be the eager student when it comes to that. When change happens, you really have to be, observant, and you really have to, anchor yourself down and be willing to learn from it. Be willing to, absorb all the information you can, so you can grow as a person and as an entertainer, and you can be a chameleon. In the future, you can be able to adjust and adapt to any environment that you may have to being in this business moving forward. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'm glad I could share my insight in the entertainment industry with you guys. For all my upcoming entertainers out there, for anybody who is fresh to the business, or for those who are just curious about my experience thus far. If you guys have any questions regarding any of it, you can always reach out to me, leave a comment down below, send a DM, you name it. I am an open book, and I love sharing my knowledge as a professional entertainer with anyone who I can help. If you guys want to know more about me, all the links to everything regarding Grant Ray will be down below, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video to come. Check you later. Peace.